Hi there, and welcome to my weekly vlog. We didn't have a vlog last week because we were in the middle of our Congress, and I think Siobhan and I had our weekly check-in on Friday, and we talked some. I think Siobhan did most of the talking though, because I've been a little bit in overwhelm all week. Uh, so, um, so welcome here. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad if you're watching the replay that you're watching the replay. If you're here live, welcome. I'm not sure if the email went out or not to remind folks to come, but here we are. And I really want to talk about um, how far we've come. We have come so far um, around awareness for lipedema. So, if you're here and you're listening to this, you have some interest in lipedema. Either you have it, or you think you might have it, or someone you love has it, or someone you love you think might have it. um, but it's so interesting because when I started my journey, all I knew is that there was something wrong, that I was eating so well. This is going back. I was weighing and measuring my food. I did that without exception. Had 3 meals a day. They were very, very um, healthy, low calorie, all of what um, all of what we know we need to do. I was doing it and gaining weight. Oh, hi, Marilee. Hi, Jenny. Good to see you guys. Um, and so finding out that something was going on, that there was something that was much bigger than anything I had thought of before, that it was bigger than calorie restriction, that it was bigger than exercising and lifting weights and you name it, it was bigger than all of that. And so it has been an awakening of sorts. And I say that because this last conference really did wake me up in a lot of ways. I'm just pulling up one of the presentations that we did um, at the um, at the Congress. Oh, this is the one I want to show you. I'm going to just share one slide. Leslin and I did a presentation on how we got from nobody knowing about lipedema to publishing the first textbook. The first medical textbook is coming. So I am going to share my screen. Give me a second. Okay. All right. Here we go. Only I have to. When as I said, I learn. Uh, Whenever we're doing a presentation, I end up learning. All right, here. I just need to Yes, you should be seeing a slide that says lipedema awareness and research timeline. So let's then put some of these slides together, and definitely this one, because in 1940, lipedema was identified as a distinct disorder, and nothing was done for years. So, whenever I do a presentation, I always refer to doctors Allen and Hines, who were both at the Mayo Clinic, and they identified this what basically new disorder, which was lipedema, which they talked about as orthostatic edema in the legs. We've learned a lot more since then, but that was the initial identification, that there was edema, that there was a fat disorder of some sort. What it was, they were not clear. But then it was neglected and misclassified as either obesity or lymphedema. Often doctors will say, "You mean lymphedema?" And it's no, lipedema. Are you sure it's not lymphedema? Anyway, it goes on and on and on. There was a slow awakening or awareness in Europe because lipedema was linked to pain and disproportion. The thing that was so telling about lipedema was the pain that accompanied it. And so in Europe, there was a kind of slow awakening, and some doctors who listened. Dr. Raprich was working with Dr. Sadler in Germany, and they started to offer the very first liposuction or surgery for lipedema. So, and also the Foldy Clinic, which is in the Black Forest, in a very beautiful, beautiful kind of townish village called Hinterzarten, in Germany. They began to research and look more into lipedema, and a number of other places. So by the 2000s, lipedema was understood as progressive and disabling, and there were some early imaging studies. Around 2010-ish, advocacy-driven awareness, research on the pathophysiology, surgical treatments were validated. And it was around then that I started looking. I started looking as best as I can see. 2011 and 2012 was when I really said something is wrong. I knew something was wrong for a long, long time, but there wasn't anyone who knew anything about this. And so when I started to look, there was only one. That was one, I said, doctor in all of the United States that knew anything about lipedema. And that was Dr. Herbst. And at the time, she was more focused on coming up with solutions for Derkham's disease, which is actually much worse in many ways than lipedema because it involves painful lymphomas, and there can be hundreds of them. But that's Derkham's. Lipedema really started to get some recognition from grassroots, the folks in Australia, the folks in the UK, Lipedema UK, did a study, a survey, and research to get information from those who have lipedema, and that got things really moving. So in the 2020s, which is where we are now, there was a formal classification, deeper insights into genetics, inflammation, and lymphatic involvement, and consensus guidelines began to emerge. There was a Dutch guidelines where a number of the docs in Holland, pretty much like a consensus document. There is one that came out of Germany. There's one that came out of the UK. There's one that came out of the US called the US Standard of Care for Lipedema. I believe it came out in the early 2020s. And now, between 2022 and 2026, we have compiled a medical textbook on lipedema, the first medical textbook. And that is beyond exciting. So let me come back. I'm coming back now. So the Congress last weekend, to say it was a celebration, it was, but I think the celebration will be more when the book comes out. The book will actually be published in the beginning of next year, 2026. Right now, it has a due release date in February. We have our fingers crossed. There's some edits. I have been. I'm really the bottleneck right now. I have a number of edits that I have to finish for the book, and I was so incredibly involved in the Congress that I just haven't been able to finish up the edits, but that's on my plate for this coming week. And I needed a week to recover from the Congress. So I'm feeling much back in myself. Hi, Sandra. Oh, there's a whole bunch of people. Oh, hi, everyone. Anne Marie, Nancy from Michigan, Persida from South Carolina, Sue from Pennsylvania. Hi, Karen. Becky from Oklahoma. Susan Miller. That's a good question. I'm going to come back to that question, Susan. Sandra. Okay, I'm going to put this question up. I think this is a good question before I go on to, I was going to talk more about the Congress, but let me say this. When was a lymphedema classified? That is a good question. I know that Dr. Stanley Roxon, he is one of the co-editors of the textbook, actually the lead co-editor. There's Dr. Stanley Roxon, Leslyn Keith, and myself. So Dr. Roxon was working on lymphedema for years, and he started and is the medical director of the Lymphatic Education and Research Network, which was started by a woman whose daughter had lymphedema, Wendy. And then she turned it over, I think, in the early, like 2010-ish, 11-ish, somewhere in there, because Bill Rapisi came in and really took it to a whole new level of awareness around lymphatic diseases, not only lymphedema, but lipedema and others. It has been, lymphatic disorders have been overlooked and sort of diminished. Why? The lymphatic system is not included in medical training. Now, that seems a little odd to me. But there's been knowledge of lymphatic disorders and lymphedema for hundreds of years. Um, I think as I find and more and more and more how important the lymphatic system is. The lymphatic system is possibly one of the most important systems that we have. It really regulates our immune system. Like, how could they skip over that? And stuff that I found out about the lymphatic system is a bit mind-blowing. For instance, the lymphatic system is regulated. There is a thoracic duct that starts in the belly, lower abdomen, comes up, goes up here meaning I'm going like it's in front of the spine, and then does a turn and goes to over here, which is what they call the subclavian, the collarbone here. And there's a vein called the subclavian vein, and it transports the lymphatic fluid through the body to this point, where it then goes into and gets cleansed by the venous system. So, what is lymphatic fluid? Lymphatic fluid is, I'm trying to think of a nice word. It's the unused proteins that didn't get digested. It's the stuff, the sewage. It's like the sewage. And so, the venous system, the blood supply captures most of that, cleanses it, and we end up either peeing or pooping it out because it's not needed by the body. The only problem is there are molecules that are too big to go through the venous system, so they go through the lymphatic system. And like I say, I've learned these things that have blown me away. Um, oh, hi, Julie. Julie just came on. Um, Julie from Camarillo. Hi. 3/4 of the body. Let me say this because it sort of, I called Dr. Carmody, who's our medical advisor, and I said, what the heck? 3/4 of the body get cleansed by one valve kind of thing? Why? It's like, don't know. That's just what it is. It's how it works. So 3/4 of the body, which is the lower quadrants and the upper left quadrant, all get cleansed through this one subclavian vein, through the thoracic duct. And the right side does only the right quadrant. That seems odd to me, but that's the way that it works. And I found that out when I had problems with my lymphatic system. So I'm rambling, sort of, but not really. because the point of all this is, balancing our lymphatic system becomes one of the most important things that we can do. And we have no one who understands the lymphatic system. Or I have to say, that's no longer true. There are a number of very educated and wonderful doctors, physicians, surgeons, researchers who do understand the lymphatic system. We're learning more about it all the time. So that's a lot of what happened on the Congress, is that some of these incredible researchers all came and gave talks from the book. From the chapters they had written in the book, from, what is lipedema? How do we come up with a agreed upon definition, to genetics? What role does genetics play? We know that lipedema is often hereditary, that it passes through the generations, that men can be carriers. And so this is a good question. Karen says, did lipedema and or lymphedema at one point called the elephant disease? Yes. There is a form of lymphedema that is called elephantitis. I'm just looking it up because it is connected to something called filariasis, which is it's a chronic disease that is characterized by severe swelling and disfigurement of the limbs or other body parts. There is a worm that ends up in a parasitic situation in the body. This is mostly in third world countries. And what happens is that parasitic, oops, give me a second. I lost us. Here, I found us. That parasite blocks the lymphatic vessels, and all of this fluid builds up. And oh my God, it's tragic. So it's called filariasis or elephantitis. It happens from mosquito bites. And so, oops. Oh, I have a sunset that goes on, and you're seeing that from the window from behind me. Let me do it one more time. Isn't that amazing? I love that happens. I'll see the sunset after I get off here. It's absolutely gorgeous over the lake. Anyway, so that is what it's called. It's called elephantitis because it's, oh my God, it's really quite tragic. And it's one of the things I know that Learn, the Lymphatic Education and Research Network, has support around. But again, it tends to happen in third world countries and not here, thank God. We have enough to deal with. So our medical textbook is addressing a lot of the underpinnings around lipedema that hasn't been addressed before. And so the book is coming out. Let me at least give you a quick look at the book. Give me 1 second. I'm traveling there now. Almost there. It is due. Hold on just a second. Ah, I figured it out. All right, now I'm going to show you this. I'm hoping you're seeing the book. Here's the book, Lipedema, Principles and Practice of Diagnosis and Treatment. And it's due to come out in February of 2026. The release date is the February 19th. Oh my God. We tried to get it to come out earlier. We tried to get it to come out in September, but there was still too much work that needed to be done. And I'm learning how much really goes on. But right now, we're number 11 in medical diagnosis books on Amazon. So here we are at number 11. We were higher up last week when people were pre-ordering the book. But here it is, number 11 out of thousands and thousands of books. So that's really because some people have pre-ordered it. But when it comes out, oh, wait. This is another study guide, but this is us. Here we are. So this was for sure the central theme of our Congress. And it was an amazing, amazing experience. And the team was absolutely stellar, really holding it together and helping it to go smoothly. Okay, let's see, Karen. I already answered her question. Karen's question was about elephantitis. So, there will be, if you missed it, you can get the replays. We are going to have a 1-day launch party with a couple of the speakers from the book close to when it gets launched at the beginning of the year. We're also putting together a course for Nutrition Network and a bunch of other amazing things. So do stay in touch and do support this in whatever way you can. Oh my God, isn't that fun the way that does it? I love this. I feel like this place was such a gift. I have my little cottage. I feel like I have like a hobbit cottage on the lake. And that's my evening where the sun hits. Amazing. I'm so blessed. I feel so blessed. So thank you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of our community. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for your bravery through all the stuff that so many of us have to go through. And so we have another. Oh, hi, Barbara. Oh my God, so nice to see you. Thank you. And so I think that's it for today's What a Ride. Wow, what a ride. We are working on our next Congress, which is going to be focused on self-care, nutrition, and a lot on low carbohydrate because that's what we found works. So that's going to be in April. So pencil in the dates. We'll be talking more about it. And we're launching an early bird special. So you're going to want to make sure you get a ticket early. And thank you. Blessings, blessings, blessings. And have a wonderful week. And I'm going to let the rays take us out. Bye.